I'm your host, Tapon. In this episode, I have back Michael Zervos, the man who's leading the Project Cosmos. Guess what? He accomplished his mission. I kind of took a risk, if you want to call it that, by interviewing him when we were meeting in Cote d'Ivoire in February of 2024. Thinking, so many people set off on this quest of being the fastest person to travel all the countries in the world. What's the likelihood that this guy actually pulls it off? Pretty low. But I was like, you know what? There's something about him. He sounds kind of legit. And guess what? My instincts were right. He did pull it off. Enjoy this podcast with Michael Zervos. Your record's going to be broken. Congratulations. Yeah. Enjoy it while you can. You knew this going into it. You didn't even, so you were quite realistic about this. And in fact, the thing that I learned from following your journey from the beginning there, Michael, and you and I met when you were only about 10% into it when we met in Cote d'Ivoire. The thing I met that really was surprising was that how, no offense, but how easy it is to do. In other words, I just expected, you spend less than a day per country and you could just zip through Europe. There's 45 countries. You could probably do it in 4 days or less if you're just taking a train, depending on how you count things. And yet, I hear you were doing all these happiness videos, taking your sweet ass time, spending almost a week in Japan or whatever it was. But it just seems like, wow, you almost seem like a leisurely pace. Now, it didn't feel like that for you, obviously. But still, I think you understand my point, is that if we think, and you mentioned this before, this is a race to the bottom. In the end, some idiot is going to just jump to the airports and go from airport to airport and do the whole thing in 100 days or whatever it is. So my question to you is, what advice would you give the next record breaker? Or whoever's thinking about doing this and saying, you know what, I think I can do this faster than Michael.
If you were committed to doing it and doing just that, you could certainly break my record. I mean, if I wanted to do it again, I could break my own record and just airport hop. I mean, there are a lot of small tweaks that I would make to my schedule to make it easier or better. I mean, you just mentioned Japan. I would, you just spend a day there and that's it. And a lot of people who have broken it before me actually did that. But I think that they planned less. I think they planned. Yeah, less efficiently. Believe it or not, the person who broke the record before me, she was going back and forth to the US to work a bit, to earn a little money, and then she'd go fly back out. So even that way, she was just losing. There was jet lag, there was transit time in certain airports. I mean, it was extremely inefficient. Now, maybe she didn't have the capital to be able to do it, and I understand. I'm not knocking her for that, but she managed to break the record just by doing it that way, back and forth, back and forth. So there are definitely ways to tighten this up. But one of the pieces of advice I would have is, aside from just planning as well as you can, there's somebody who's trying to break the record right now, and I would have told her, do Africa first. You're going to have a lot less energy when you're doing Africa on the back end. Do everything as all of the hard countries that you possibly can up front, but you kind of need to do it in the order that they're adjacent, all this. That's why you got to do Africa up front. People push it on the back end and they fail almost every single time. There was a Brazilian gal who failed. I think this person who's trying to break the record right now, I don't remember her name, but she did reach out to me. I don't think she's going to make it. She's at 150 countries. She's got to do it in 3 months or 2 months, 45 countries, and they're all Africa and Middle East. So I'm just like, why would you do that to yourself? If you're gonna spend all of that money, you got to think about how things are going to feel on the back end. And for me, when I was nearing the end, I felt good. I had energy. But if I was looking up at the face of finishing 54 countries of Africa, you're God. I mean, that would be very intimidating. So do Africa first. And you're going to appreciate it more too, because Africa needs energy. It really it pulls so much out of you. And what like you need to be strong in order to get the best out of it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, when I started really traveling seriously, yeah, I did go to Eastern Europe first and spent about 3.5 years there. But then I thought to myself, okay, what's my next big region after Eastern Europe? And I was like, you know what? I could pick the Middle East. I could pick Asia. I could pick, South America. I was like, Caribbean. I was like, no, I got to go to Africa. It's got to be done when you're relatively young. You've got that crazy amount of energy and you have that
Yeah.
patience to put up with
Yeah.
all sorts of things that go wrong, difficult situations. It's a continent that just pushes you to the limit, and it pushes Africans to the limit too. I mean, I see
Yeah. Yeah.
Africans travel within their continent, and they are exhausted themselves. So but it's a very rewarding place to go to as well. I mean, that's why I'm writing a whole book about the whole place. What's your
Yeah.
next steps, Michael?
I am writing a book currently titled Happiest by Penguin Random House, New York-based publishing company, biggest in America. They reached out to me about halfway through my trip, and they wanted to make a book about it. The particular stories of happiness that I've collected, and so that's going to take up probably the rest of the year. And by that point in time, there are a couple of other things that I am working on that are related to this, potentially bigger than just a book. And I don't want to say just a book because it is my first book, and I'm very excited about sharing stories like this. But those things will be kind of rolled out in due time as I manage to secure them in a good place. But I want to connect and reconnect with people back here in the States. I may do a little traveling here in the continent, but nothing too crazy. We'll see how much writing I can do around family and friends, but that's always going to be a challenge when I have so many people around me who want to catch up. But
Yes, people like me.
no, no, it's fine. And look, I am a relationship guy. I'm a very introverted person. I'd rather spend time with people who I'm close with and I care about, and I'm very insular. But I gotta catch up with a lot of people who I've put some of these relationships aside for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's what you've done is monumental. It's hard to come up with all the words, and I really am impressed with you with having pulled it off, Michael. Of course, you might get a fair amount of criticisms. People would just say, "Why would you do that?" Nah, 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 nah. But I think throughout the entire journey, you've always kind of been very level-headed about this and just said, "Yeah, look, I don't even want to do it again myself, but." It's something you want to do, and it recalibrated your life, and it's setting you off on a new trajectory. It's something that you can look back at and always feel like, you know what, I did something pretty cool, and with a year and a half of my life.
Yeah, yeah. I do not have I'm thrilled to have done it. I still feel like I'm in the throngs of it. The journey had so much forward momentum, so much inertia. I do feel like I'm just in it, but in a different stage of it. The post trip just feels like I'm reliving moments again and again, being able to talk about it, being able to write a book about it, still posting videos about it, catching up with people from the very beginning of my trip. Uh, so I'm thrilled to have done it, and now it's a matter of getting it out to Guinness and getting recognized there. And after that, there's a lot more in store for me. Whether it's travel related or not, I'm always excited about the potential and the possibilities.
Your record might stay for a while. I mean, conventional wisdom says that it will be broken within a year or two, but on the other hand, if there's a global war, it doesn't even have to be global. It could just be regional. Just shuts down a lot of countries. That I mean, we already have wars going on right now, obviously, but it could get a lot worse and things like that. Just a few countries like North Korea was just on the edge for you. South Sudan, sorry, not South Sudan, but regular Sudan.
Yeah.
Also, these were close calls for you, and it just needs a few more of those countries. That could shut people off for like a decade could protect your record for about a decade.
Yeah, I think the big thing that protected Taylor, and I say this in a way that it's just factual. It's not like it was a good thing either way. I think it's a bad thing that many of the countries had to close down for this, but really, The pandemic protected a record for a long time. And,
Right.
Turkmenistan was one of the last countries to open up to tourism. And now you see e-visas. They're doing e-visas now, Turkmenistan. The great cloistered Central American or Central African Asian country, it's now doing e-visas. And North Korea, Raisin might open up again. We may see that, but countries will open and close. I hope not for war, and I'd rather people break the record than there be, no peace. So, um, but that's not up to me.
Well, the Project Cosmos has been continually pumping out videos on Instagram. I still see them about your happiness. So that project, I'm sure you've got a huge backlog and a library there, and probably your hidden project. I'm going to speculate it's got to be a documentary of some sort, since you've got such a strong film experience and you got a lot of footage to work with there. It'd be kind of crazy that you come out with a book but no video to support the book. So that's my prediction. You're going to stay mum about it. You're going to give me a sly smile. Give me your best sly smile. Come on, Michael.
I'm not a great smiler. I think me not even smiling is probably a good enough smile for people.
All right. Well, it was such a pleasure meeting you in person in Cote d'Ivoire when you're just starting this journey. I want to
Yeah.
congratulate you once again. And when your book comes out, I would love to review it and have you back on the podcast so you can spread the word about it.
Thank you, Francis. I'd love to send one to you.
All right, buddy. Take care, and remind people where to follow you and where to keep up with you.
Yeah, so you can find me. My website is project-cosmos with a K.com. On Instagram, the Project Cosmos, and across Facebook. Now I'm posting on Facebook. I'll be posting on YouTube soon, on TikTok, the Project Cosmos as well. So you can find me nearly across every social.
And if you've been watching this on YouTube, I'll be posting a few of the videos that Michael and I have filmed over the course. We've got 7 of them. This one's the 8th. And you'll see some of the links for that in the show notes below, and links to the website. Everything will be down below. Michael, once again, congratulations on being the fastest person to travel to all the countries in the world. You did it. Congratulations, man.
Thank you, Francis.
And that ends this episode of the WanderLearn podcast, where we explore travel, technology, and transformation. If you'd like to see the show notes with links to what we've talked about, go to wanderlearn.com and click on this episode. If you'd like to connect with me, just remember Tapon. That's my first initial and my last name. Tapon is always my social media username. My website is ftapon.com. Do you want to leave me an anonymous voicemail where you can make a comment or ask a question? Then go to speakpipe.com/ftapon. Furthermore, if you'd like to get rewarded for supporting my projects, then go to patreon.com/ftapon. That's where you can pick up some remarkable rewards for as little as $2 a month. Now, 5 quick favors. Number 1, subscribe to the WanderLearn podcast. 2, download it. 3, share it. 4, review it. And 5, sign up for my newsletter at wanderlearn.com. Our theme music was composed by Eric Stratman. This is Francis Tapon, encouraging you to wander and learn.